Greetings, dear viewers. You are on the Alien Relatives channel. It happens like this. You carry the whole family on your shoulders, solve problems, and earn money, and in return, you only hear reproaches and demands to know your place. Today's story is about how a stone wall suddenly turns into prison bars, and what happens when loved ones begin to mistake kindness for weakness. The idol. That's what Inga called her inwardly. Not mother-in-law, not Isolda Vitalievna, but a woman, a monument to herself, occupying half the sofa and 80% of the oxygen in the room. The morning didn't start with coffee. The morning began with the sound of a zipper closing on a cheap windbreaker and the smell of stale alcohol that Dima was trying to mask with mint gum. Inga stood in the hallway. She wore a beige trench coat, a bag with a laptop in her hand, and a plan for a meeting with the board of directors in her head. She had 3 minutes before she had to leave. The timing was tight. If she didn't get into the taxi now, the logistics of her entire day would be ruined. Dima, move aside. Inga's voice was steady, a professional habit. When a crane falls on a construction site, yelling is useless. You need to give commands. Dima didn't move. He leaned his hand against the doorframe, blocking the exit. His face, usually soft and slightly puffy, now expressed the determination of a kamikaze pilot who had forgotten to put on a parachute but really wanted to jump. "You're not going anywhere," he declared. Inga blinked. The situation was so absurd that her brain refused to process it immediately. "I have a meeting, a quarterly report. Are you out of your mind?" Just then, the idol entered the fray. She was sitting in the living room, visible in the doorway, drinking tea from Inga's favorite mug, a thin porcelain one that couldn't be washed in the dishwasher. The idol was washing it with laundry soap. "Dimocha is right," she cooed, sticking out her little finger. "Enough of this. The family is falling apart." "The family is falling apart because someone can't find a job for 3 months," Inga retorted, trying to squeeze under her husband's arm. Dima pushed her back. Not hard, but noticeably. Inga stumbled, her heel landing on the rug. "I said no." Dima took a deep breath, as if preparing to dive into an ice hole, and continued. "My mother doesn't like your job, even though the salary is 400,000. You'll stay home today and cook borscht, like a normal woman." Silence. A ringing, dense silence, in which the hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen could be heard, and the sound of the idol slurping her tea. "Repeat that," Inga asked quietly. "Did you hear me?" Dima blushed, but didn't move his hand. "I'm tired of being an appendage to your credit card. Mom says a woman should create coziness, not rush around construction sites. Are you becoming a man, Inga? You've become tough, hardened." The idol in the room nodded joyfully, like a Chinese bobblehead on a dashboard. "Exactly, Dimocha," she shouted. "Borscht is sacred. It's yin energy. And money? Money should be brought by the man. And if the wife has more, it's castration of her energy." Inga looked at her watch. It was 8:45. The meeting was at 9:30. The drive was 40 minutes. She looked at her husband. In his eyes, she saw a mix of fear and bravado. He was expecting a scandal. He was expecting her to assert her rights, to yell, "This is my apartment," to shove the mortgage payments in his face, which she had paid off herself 2 years ago. He was prepared, but Inga was a strategist. The head of the Department of Technical Control, does not yell. He identifies defects and eliminates them. Right now, before her was a critical defect in the structure called marriage. Beyond repair, only demolition. All right, Inga said. Dima was taken aback. His hand trembled betrayingly. What did I say? All right, you're right. Family is more important. She slowly took off her trench coat and hung it on a hanger. She carefully placed her bag down. Borscht. So, borscht. The idol in the room choked with surprise, but immediately broke into a triumphant smile. She had defeated her, the rich one, the career woman, that snob who dared to buy groceries not on sale. That's a good girl, the mother-in-law exclaimed. I bought the meat yesterday, with the bone. Inga obediently went to the kitchen. She crossed the threshold of her perfectly equipped territory. Everything here was functional. Japanese steel knives, an induction cooker, a stone countertop. This was her command center. She took out her phone. The first message to the deputy chief engineer. Conduct the meeting yourself. I'm working remotely. Prepare the documents for the sever object. Send them by courier for signature immediately. Code red. The deputy was a smart guy and didn't ask unnecessary questions. Inga opened the freezer, took out a piece of beef, and threw it into the sink with such a clatter that the hallway trembled. She turned on the water. Inga! Dima shouted from the hallway. Don't go crazy there, you have to cook with soul. She smirked. With soul. Oh, her soul was about to unfold. Inga took out beets, carrots, and onions. The knife felt familiar in her hand. Shredding. Swish, swish, swish. The blade sliced through the orange flesh of the carrot. 3 years. 3 years she had been carrying this project. Dima was a promising architect when they met, but his prospects shattered against deer and tanks. He lay on the sofa, searching for himself, while she trudged through construction pits in rubber boots, checking rebar. He called her the Iron Lady. At first with pride, then with envy. And now, the apotheosis. Mommy came from Sizran to visit for a week. The week stretched into the 2nd month. The idol took over the guest room, rearranged the flowers, started criticizing the food, and poisoning Dima's mind. Inga dialed a number. The call rang for a long time. Finally, someone picked up. It was noisy, with the sound of a working saw and male voices. Dad? Inga asked, watching the water boil in the pot. Yes, they're here, both of them. The voice on the other end was hoarse, but infinitely familiar. Got it? Should I bring tools? No. Bring the blue folder and some strong guys. Roger that. We'll be there in 40 minutes. I'm coming from the site now. Inga hung up. Who are you talking to? Dima peered into the kitchen. He didn't look as combative anymore. The adrenaline had subsided, leaving behind anxiety. His wife was behaving too quietly. With Dad, Inga smiled. It was a terrifying smile, only with her lips. Her eyes remained as cold as ice on the Nieva. I was clarifying the recipe. His borscht always turns out better. Dima relaxed. Ah, yes. Our father-in-law is a gourmet. All right, go ahead and cook. Mom and I will watch Fashion Sentence for now. They have segments about people like you, by the way, who need a makeover. He left. Inga turned on the extractor fan to full power. The roar of the motor cut her off from the sounds of the apartment. She cooked methodically, like a robot. Sautéing. The beets needed to be simmered with a drop of vinegar to preserve their color. There was irony in this. She actually knew how to cook and enjoyed it, but only when she wanted to. Coercion killed the magic. This wasn't food. It was a banishing potion. She chopped cabbage thinly, almost transparently. She remembered how a month ago, the idol had accidentally broken her perfume bottle worth 20,000. Oh, Indgochka, they smelled so strong. I thought it was an air freshener. I wanted to spray it, but it slipped. She remembered how Dima had borrowed her credit card to buy a new monitor because the old one was straining his eyes, and he forgot to return it. The broth simmered. The clock ticked. It was 9:20. The deputy sent a message. Chief Bezrukov is making a fuss, demanding to review the estimate. I sent him to the regulations. All good. Inga quickly typed. Well done. Push the deadlines. If he grumbles, tell him I'll be there tomorrow and conduct a personal inspection of the hidden work. The idol floated into the kitchen. It smells like vinegar, she grimaced. You should have used lemon. Lemon is a natural product. Inga didn't turn around. She stirred the stew with a large spoon. Isolda Vitalyevna, she said softly, have you packed your things? What? I thought we were going to stay at home. And Dima might get a vacation, maybe go to Turkey? No, not to Turkey. Inga tasted the broth. Not enough salt. You have packed the things you scattered around my living room. Knitting, magazines, those endless pills of yours. How dare you speak to me like that? The idol's voice squeaked. Dima, she's being rude. Dima ran in instantly, like a trained poodle. Inga, are you starting again? We agreed. You're a woman, you... A knock at the door. Sharp, demanding. Not a courier's ding-dong, but the kind where the button is pressed and held. Who's there? Dima tensed. Are you expecting someone? I am. Inga turned off the stove. The borscht was ready, perfectly ruby, thick, a masterpiece. I'm expecting justice, Dima. Open it yourself. Are you closer? He grumbled, but seeing her gaze, he went to the hallway. Inga wiped her hands on a towel, took off her apron, and straightened her blouse. The show begins. Voices echoed from the hallway. Who are you looking for? Our daughter. And you, get out of the way before I crush you with the door. Viktor Anatolievich, Inga's father, entered the kitchen. He wasn't an oligarch. He was a foreman of the old school. A man who could make concrete set faster with just a look. Broad shoulders, a gray hedgehog of hair, hands like shovels. Behind him loomed two guys in work overalls with the inscription, Stroj montage. Strong lads with faces not burdened by excessive intellect, but full of obedience. Dad, Dima said, looking as if he had seen a ghost. Viktor Anatolievich, hello. We're just making borscht. Her father walked past Dima as if he were a nightstand. He went up to Inga and kissed the top of her head. Hello, daughter. Are they bothering you? They're teaching me, Dad. They say, I earn a lot, but a woman should know her place. Viktor Anatolievich slowly turned to his son-in-law. His gaze was heavy, like a foundation block. Teaching you, huh? Well, well. Isolda Vitalyevna, sensing trouble, decided to attack. And you, matchmaker, don't interfere. This is an internal family matter. We want good for the young couple. Inga has gotten completely out of hand. She doesn't respect her husband at all. Viktor Anatolievich took a blue folder from his jacket's inner pocket and tossed it onto the kitchen table. Inga nodded. This was their little insurance policy. The apartment was bought with her money, but legally registered in her father's name. Dima knew this, but at the time he didn't argue, as Inga had promised that later her father would re-register the apartment to both of them. So, Viktor Anatolievich opened the folder. Since the apartment is mine, I've decided to undertake a major renovation. Demolition of partitions, replacement of the floor. Right now. Right now? Dima squeaked. But we live here. You are guests here? The father corrected. And you've overstayed your welcome, he added, nodding to the workers. Guys, start with the living room. The sofa goes to the dump, it's old. The TV? Well, carefully carry the TV out. It might be useful. Wait, the idol shrieked. My things are there, my robe. You have 10 minutes to gather your belongings, citizen, said one of the workers in a deep voice. Then we'll take out the windows, and there'll be a draft. Dima rushed to his wife. Inga, tell them, this is outrageous. Did you sick your father on us? We're family. Inga stood, leaning her hip against the countertop. She felt an incredible lightness, as if a backpack full of bricks had been removed from her shoulders. Dima, family is when people support each other, not when one person sponges off another and hides behind their mother. You said you didn't like my salary. Fine, it doesn't concern you anymore. A crash echoed from the living room. It sounded like the guys had started dismantling the wardrobe without opening the doors. Call the police, Isolda Vitalievna screamed. Call them, Viktor Anatolievich said calmly, pulling out an extract from the Unified State Register of Real Estate. Owner, I am. Registered here? Only Inga. And who are you, citizens? Unidentified persons obstructing renovation work. Dima looked at Inga. His world was crumbling in his eyes. The world where he was the comfortable, domestic little king who was brought food. But you loved me. I did, she replied simply. That Dima who drew bridge projects and dreamed of building skyscrapers. But the one who blocks my door and demands borscht while I earn for your comfort? I don't know him, and don't want to know him. By the way, the borscht is ready, she added. Sit down, Dad, let's have lunch, and I can pour you some to take with you in a jar. The next 20 minutes were chaos. The idol flitted around the apartment, stuffing her sweaters into checkered bags, cursing the damned bourgeois along the way. Dima tried to collect his computer. That monitor is mine, he yelled. Show me the receipt, said a worker who had already disconnected the system unit from the power. No receipt, so no monitor. Inga didn't interfere. She sat in the kitchen, drinking coffee her dad had made for her. Forgive me for being so harsh, Viktor said, watching the commotion in the hallway. But otherwise, these bedbugs don't understand. They need DDT. Thank you, Dad. She took his hand. His hand was rough and warm. It's my own fault. I dragged it out, thinking it would resolve itself. Rudeness doesn't resolve itself, daughter. It crystallizes. The front door slammed shut in the hallway. On the landing, the screams of the idol and Dima's pathetic mumbling could be heard. The apartment became quiet. The workers, who in reality weren't going to break anything, this was a one-man show, stood waiting for orders in the living room. Viktor Anatolievich, are we really taking out the windows? Asked the elder. Understood, Sergei. Let the windows stay, but change the locks immediately. Install the Gordian cylinder. Inga walked over to the pot, lifted the lid. The aroma was divine. She took a ladle, poured 2 bowls, sliced black bread, and took out sallow from the freezer. Green onions. Sit down, Dad. Work. Her father winked slyly. You said your meeting was worth 400,000. It's disappearing. Inga smirked. Her phone chimed. A message from the courier. Documents picked up, delivering to the office. Work won't disappear. I'm a valuable specialist. They'll wait. But the borscht shouldn't get cold. She sat at the table. For the first time in 6 months, her own apartment felt spacious. The air was clean. Even breathing felt easier, as if the extractor fan had sucked out not only the cooking odors, but also the sticky web of another's ego. She scooped a spoonful of bright red, hot soup. Delicious. After all, Dima was right about one thing. Borscht is truly sacred, especially when you eat it in silence, knowing that no one will tell you anymore that you're the wrong kind of woman. I am a normal woman, Inga said aloud, biting into a green onion. Better, her father confirmed, spreading mustard on his bread. You just need a normal man, not this decorative one. Inga nodded. But that would be later. For now, new locks and silence, and 400,000, which she could now spend only on herself. A damn pleasant feeling. And so, the finale. Justice has triumphed, and everyone got what they deserved. Some, peace and self-respect, and others, a harsh lesson for life. If you have had similar stories about having to defend your personal boundaries against relatives, be sure to share them in the comments. Take care of yourselves and value your work. All the best, M.